have sex with me. I want a baby. He hears it like a pistol shot in clear air. No wind. No birds. Just that sentence hanging between two porches. Sun on the nails. Resin on fresh boards. A fly droning in the corner of his window, like a hand-cranked saw. His name is Dane Mercer. New man in a used land. One room. One horse. One scar that turns his smile into a half-truth. He holds a hammer. He lets it fall. The soft thud is the only answer he has for a breath. Her name is Maybelle Hart. Folks call her May. She lives alone under cottonwoods by the creek. Big. Strong. Pretty if you use your own eyes. She hauls water. Splits wood. Bakes bread that tastes like morning. The town talks about her body, as if that body pays them rent. It doesn't. She hears the talk. She keeps working anyway. I can't, he says. The words scrape. I'm sorry. She nods once, a small nod that still manages to slam a door. I figured, she says. You and the town. It isn't that, he says too fast. It isn't you. Leave it, she says. Not sharp, tired. I asked plain. I can hear plain. I want a child. I have a roof and hands and a heart that doesn't quit. I can't find a husband who wants me as I am. So I tried something else. She breathes, steadies. It was a poor ask. I know it. He wants to spill the long story on the porch and sort it like screws in little tins. A mother who buried babies and kept setting plates. Miles of road that taught him to keep hope small enough to pocket. A tin of seeds he thumbs when the future looks thin. He wants to say, I won't make a life like a ledger entry. I want love first, and a child inside it, not outside it. I want a home, he says, not a bargain. Understood. She ties her bonnet with quick fingers, turns, walks away like a soldier after orders. Dust takes her footprints and keeps them. The cottonwoods close behind. That night, he eats the stew she left yesterday. Pepper. Thyme. Bone boiled down to a soft glow. He washes the bowl, sets it on the sill. Coyotes test the ridge. The lamp hums. A moth taps the glass. Tick, tick, tick. He says I can't to a table that won't forgive him and sleeps like a man who left weight in the yard. Days stretch. Work fills them. He digs a post hole that throws rocks like curses. He resets a gate latch that only sticks on the second try. He rides fence at dusk and watches bats comb the last amber from the sky. He sees smoke from May's stove at dawn. Proof of life. He finds fresh bread on the flat rock by the trail, a heel cut off like someone tasted belief. He leaves her a coil of straw rope, a sack of nails, 2 hard peaches. Trades that aren't trades. Bridges laid without words. Town writes his past for him. It always does. New man. Scar. Quiet. Trouble must be trailing. Maybe he shot a man who earned it. Maybe one who didn't. The saloon decides by whisper. The sheriff listens and files the stories under wait and see. Dane keeps to the store and the yard and the creek. The clerk with the tiny cross tattoo on the web of his thumb counts change slow, like he's measuring Dane on a scale only he can read. The men who actually own Dane's past find him anyway. High blue day, sun white as bone. He planes a sill. Sweat stings his eyes. Hoofbeats bloom on the south ridge. 4 riders, then 5. Dust tails like whips. They spread on the flat with the confidence of men who think they already own the ending. Mercer, the wide one calls. Hat brim low. Smile split like old leather. Heard you sat down. We came to ask why. Dane doesn't answer. He owes them nothing. He sets the plane gentle. Steps for the door. Rifle behind the churn. Window sighted on the yard. Angles. Cover. Distance. Light. The old steadiness finds his bones. He hates that it feels like coming home. They fire first. Splinters jump from the porch post. The pump handle sings. His horse bolts to the wire and freezes. He slides to the barrel. Breath tight. Count running like a prayer with bullets in it. He leans. Fires. One rider yelps and drops his rein. Not fatal. Enough. He shifts right. Another rider snaps a lariat as if rope can solve lead. Dane shoots the rope off his hand. The coil falls like a dead thing. The man keeps coming, slow now, confused by new math. "House!" someone yells. "Smoke him!" They mean fire. They always mean fire. He tucks in, reloads 2, counts 3 left. Thumb slick. Breath trying to climb out of his ribs. A round kisses the water pail. Cold explodes across his face. Laughter follows, the mean kind that thinks it already won. Then the air changes. Movement in the cottonwoods. A woman stepping from shade like a verdict. Mayhart, skirt hitched, Winchester low, safe. She walks into the open as if she bought the ground. No crouch, no apology. The nearest rider turns to laugh. That is his last mistake. Her first shot takes hat and inch. He folds like laundry. She cocks, shifts, fires again. The grinning man spins with a hole in his thigh, bites dust, tries to stand, fails. The third wheels to run. She clips his bridle hand at 30 paces. The horse peels, screaming, pistol in dirt, pride in pieces. The fourth crouches behind the trough and fires blind. She waits for hat edge and punches tin where shadow curls. He yelps, crawls into the kind of day he earned. Dane uses the shock like a door. He crosses 3 yards of burning sun and hits the corner of the house. A bullet finds him low and left. A punch from inside, hot, wet. Legs forget the plan. The world flares and then narrows. May is on him. She drags him through the doorway, with hands built for sacks and hog halves and one more heavy thing. "Down," she says. He obeys. The floor takes him. His eyes catch the rafter where he carved "Stay" his first night, because he needed to tell himself something out loud. She rips his shirt, finds the hole in, finds the hole out. "Through and through," she says. "Lucky." Whiskey, rag, press. He bites wood, white heat. Her hands do not shake. A shadow crawls under the window. She lifts the rifle one-handed and snaps a shot. A man screams. Hooves flee. The yard quiets to the ragged breath of the injured and the far bark of a dog that thinks law is a sound. A whistle, ordered hooves, a voice. "Mercer, don't shoot your own law." Sheriff Clive Murdoch, hat like a roof, badge dull from years. 2 deputies with rope and calm. He takes in the yard, the dead, the living, the woman with a rifle and blood to her wrists. He tips his hat to May, like the gesture weighs what it should. "Miss Hart." Then to Dane. "We'll haul these crows. I'll want words tomorrow, not now." They haul. The room exhales. May cleans, binds, knots. He bleeds less. The plank under his hip goes pink and stops there. He notices ordinary things because pain turns up the light. Grease shadow under the lamp, peers in a basket. The way her hair curls where the bonnet rubbed. Her hands are steady even while they are red. "I'm sorry," he says, "for bleeding on your floor." She wrings a cloth. "That's on them." "For the porch," he says, "for the no that landed wrong, for letting you walk back under talk I could have carried." "You think words lift like cedar?" she says, almost laughing. Then softer. "Maybe they do." "I didn't turn you down because of how you look," he says. "No pretty lies. Just cut boards. I want a family, not a ledger. I want a table with 4 hands, a morning with a kettle singing, and a woman I love putting her palm on my back, because that's how prayer works here. I didn't have the courage to say that when you were standing there." She looks at him like he's a piece of sky she's not sure she can own. People ask me to be less, she says. Lower voice, smaller laugh, smaller everything. You didn't ask that. You just wouldn't take what I threw in panic. I can respect that. I can still be mad. You saved my life, he says. I kept it from running off, she says. The sheriff leans in once more, leaves bandage rolls, nods at May like she's staff. Tomorrow, he says, then gone. Silence. Not the kind that scolds, the kind that waits and warms. I want to try, Dane says. Try what? Us. Not the ask you made. Not a trade. A thing that grows. Chores and talk. Mornings and weather. Your rifle. My hammer. A dog who is a fool. If a child comes, it comes after the house already knows our names. Could be the whiskey talking. I'll say it tomorrow. She studies him the way she studies frost on a late peach bloom. All right, she says. We can walk and see if the road holds. It holds. Healing is slow and then sudden. She brings soup and bread and jars that catch summer and keep it. He fixes the hinge that always scraped morning. She patches his shirt with stitches, small as sand. He pretends not to see. She pretends not to pride. They sit on her step at dusk and listen to the creek argue with rock. Mugs trade hands by accident and then on purpose. He tells her about the seeds in his pocket. She calls him soft and then admits she likes soft when it makes sense. She tells him about the first time a boy in town spat a name at her body and ran. He clenches his jaw, then lets it go, because she needed the telling more than he needs the chase. He listens. That is the work. Town recalculates. It always does when facts walk side by side. Mrs. Lang at the store says Maybelle in full and means it. The feathered hat lady stops sneering. The men who laughed laugh into their sleeves and find it stale. The sheriff says nothing public and everything with the way he tips his hat. Sunday. Church. Him that bites the high notes. May doesn't flinch. True on the low, brave on the high, loud when needed, soft when asked. On the steps, little Rosie Lang's boy climbs onto May's hip like she's a hill he intends to keep. She holds him like she was waiting for weight. Dane watches and turns quiet in a way that isn't empty. That night, he carves "Stay Deeper," shows her. Secrets rot wood. She touches the letters with the back of her knuckle. Hard order, she says. Harder for fear. Then fear can carry water, he says. We'll cook. They marry small. Church of beeswax and wet wool, and prayers from people who argue with God and still come back. Sheriff Murdoch holds the door and the town together. Mrs. Lang spends a month of tears in one evening and reports no regret. The preacher says words they've said to each other already. They say them again, so the room can hear. Supper is stew and bread, and 2 pies that never stood a chance. They dance in the yard to a fiddle with one string that lives in peril and somehow survives. He holds her like truth. She holds him like a found thing you do not set down if you are smart. Nights they are clumsy, then sure, then themselves. They argue about fence, flower, when to speak, when to wait. They learn the steps of forgiveness. Left foot, right foot, step in, step back, nod. Try again. Perfect is a town rumor that breaks under weight. They want human. They get it. Trouble tests the fence once. A pair of drifters with smart mouths and dull eyes. May stands on the porch with the Winchester like a rule book. They read it. They leave. Word travels. The old riders do not return. New trouble chooses another road. Winter presses its face to the glass. The stove roars. Snow hems the house like a patient seamstress. She teaches him biscuits that don't taste like walls. He teaches her the wick trick that saves oil. They read the same 3 books until the words turn into furniture. They lie in the dark and talk names. He offers Ada. She tries it on. Strong, she says. Short. He smiles. Like us. Spring unlatches. The creek swells. Cottonwoods leaf out with a sound like soft applause. He plants. She sets beans. They move in the same weather, not always in step. Close enough to borrow rhythm. Under the trees, one blue day, he says, I love you. No tremor. No hedge. He says the long version and the short. I loved you when you brought biscuits with a chin, like yes. I loved you when you asked me the worst sentence, and I wasn't brave enough to answer right. I loved you when you shot, angry and right. I love you now. She closes her eyes, opens them. A tear takes the road it wants. She lets it. Say it again. He does. The trees rustle. The creek translates. They do not rush what follows. They are not children of a world that bends for them. They are adults in a valley that does not care, and somehow roots for them anyway. Nights are quiet, and then not. Mornings are slow, and then not. The house learns their bodies and their tempers and their laughter, and keeps all three. When the baby comes, winter bites. The stove is a lion. May labors like May, does everything, with force, with humor, with enough fire to scare the devil out of the doorway. Dane holds a basin, then her hand, then his breath, then her hand again. The room goes thin and then opens. A cry breaks the air and fixes what needed fixing. The baby is red and loud and new. They name her Ada. Short names don't waste time when life calls. The house changes sound. Boards learn new creaks. The kettle sings earlier. The pump quits complaining at dawn. 2 mugs become 3. Shadows multiply. So does meaning. They sleep less. Live more. May's body does holy work. Dane brings water, rubs her back, learns the angle that quiets the baby like rain. He holds Ada like a man who used to think he didn't get to hold anything that fragile. She holds his nose with tiny fingers and claims it. He lets her win. One blue afternoon, he takes the knife and climbs the stool and carves under stay. May reads it out loud because some words only count when spoken. Home. She leans her head to his arm for 3 beats. Then the baby cries. Then the soup whispers into a boil. The world resumes. Better. He still keeps the tin of seeds. Habit. Hope. Sometimes he forgets it on a shelf because hope sleeps in the cradle now. He still counts angles when a rider's shadow crosses the yard. He still knows where the rifle is. He also knows 3 lullabies, and which one sounds like rain on the roof. First spring after Ada's first winter. Fence walk. Sky like a new coin. Meadowlarks tune the field. May points with her chin at the cottonwoods. That's where I stood, she says. I know, he says. What would you do if I said that sentence again? I'd say we already did it right, the long way. Then I'd ask stew or biscuits, hinge or rocking chair. She laughs. Good answer. He takes her hand. She takes his. They keep walking. The fence holds. The wheat lifts. The dog, yes, a fool, barks at a grasshopper with a judge's focus. The sheriff rides by and tips his hat. Mrs. Lang waves a handkerchief and cries, because some people cry when the world is ordinary and good. For once, the world approves. Lesson, if you want it. A house doesn't sing because a baby arrives. A baby arrives because the house learns to sing. Love first, then the rest. When trouble knocks, don't shrink. Stand in the yard with your whole self and the kind of neighbor who says the right thing a day late and spends the years after making it right. Summer rolls in with heat that makes iron sing. They stack hay. They mend a leak in the roof with pitch and laughter. Ada gums the world and declares it good. May rides once a week to town with eggs in jars. Dane rides the other way, up the ridge, just to stand and see their two roofs in one glance. He likes how small the cabin looks against the sky, and how large the life inside it feels. A storm takes a cottonwood. They cut it clean and burn it slow. Fresh shoots spring where the roots still drink. He points. She nods. Things that are cut can still return. They take that as policy. One night a stranger comes, hat in hands, voice thin with hunger. May feeds him stew on the step. Dane watches his eyes and his hands and chooses trust. The man eats, thanks them, walks on. After, May says, "That could have been you." Dane says, "It was." They stand in the door and let the night finish being night.